Physical Science, Chapter 1, Lesson 3, Measuring Matter. You'll be able to describe the units used to measure mass and volume, and you'll be able to explain how to determine the density of a material. What units are used to express mass and volume? Scientific measurements must be recognized and understood worldwide so scientists everywhere can interpret data. The United States is the only country worldwide that uses the customary units of measurement in everyday life, such as the inch and foot, or the pint and the gallon. Every other country, and scientists even in the United States and all over the world, use the metric system, or the SI unit of measurement, which stands for the International Standard Units. Weight. Weight is a measurement that can change based on your location because it depends on the pull of gravity. The measurement of weight is not universal because depending on where you're making the measurement, your weight could be different. The amount of gravity on the moon is much less than the amount of gravity on Earth because the moon is smaller than Earth, so you would weigh less on the moon because there's not as much pull on you there as there is on Earth. If you were at the top of a mountain or at the bottom of the sea, the weight you measure would be different. Weight is measured using a scale, and it's a measurement of force. Mass. Mass is measured using a balance, and is measured balancing unknown masses with objects of known masses. Mass is the amount of matter in an object. It's the measure of the amount of particles contained in an object. This amount doesn't change. The amount of particles doesn't change because you're on the top of a mountain or the bottom of the sea, or if you're on the moon or on Earth. Because of this, scientists prefer to use mass to describe matter because it is universal. Mass is a physical property of matter. Key concept in this section. The SI unit of mass is the kilogram. A kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. Complete Figure 2, page 16, Measuring Mass, number 1 and 2 in your book. Volume. Volume is how much space something takes up, and the key concept in this section is the SI unit of volume is the cubic meter, or lowercase m to the third power. The cubic centimeter, which is cm to the third power, is equal to 1 milliliter. When you're measuring liquid volume, you would use the unit milliliter or liter. When you're measuring the volume of a solid, you can sometimes measure the length times the width times the depth or height in meters or centimeters using a ruler. This can be easy if the solid is a regular shape that can easily be measured by length, width, and depth or height. If you're trying to find the volume of an irregular solid or a liquid, you would use a graduated cylinder. Finding the volume of a liquid is fairly straightforward. You would read the amount of liquid by looking at the graduations on the cylinder at eye level and reading the bottom of the meniscus. If you have an irregular solid, the method you use is called displacement. You would first put liquid in a graduated cylinder and write down the measurement of how much liquid is in the cylinder. Then you would immerse the solid, the irregular solid, and then you would again read the measurement of the liquid in the cylinder, or how much the liquid rises. The difference between the volumes before and after is the volume of the solid in milliliters. We'll do a quick lab to calculate the volumes of some regular and irregular solids. How is density determined? Density is an important property of matter and one that is often misinterpreted by students, so listen closely and ask questions if you don't understand. Calculating density. The density is the amount of mass in a given amount of volume. The key concept here is You can determine the density of a sample of matter by dividing its mass by its volume. Density is a very important physical property because each substance has a unique density that is known. Why is it called a physical property? Sinking or floating. Objects with densities greater than water, or 1 gram per centimeter cubed, will sink, and densities less than water will float. Complete the applied on page 18. Using density. Density is a physical property of a substance and is known. You can identify an unknown substance by matching the density and other key properties to a known density. We'll complete a lab investigation making sense of density, but first, I would like you to complete the questions on page 19 to A, B, and C, and we will discuss them in class.